What is up? Alright, today we're going to speed run a CRUD React app from scratch using the Quotes API that I made. It's going to have authentication and full CRUD. Let's get down to it. I'm going to make a React app. We're going to find the information about the Quotes API. Here it is. Is that Wong D? Hell yeah. Alright. We will post this somewhere shortly once this is all done. This guy's grinding away. I wonder if it made the directory already. I don't actually know. Nice. It should update as it installs stuff. So the idea here is, I know most of you are probably new to CRUD operations if you're watching this. It doesn't take long to hack out a CRUD app, and it's going to turn into just a speed run to do. So I'm going to try to show you all right here. Oh, why is there a yarn lock? Maybe that'll delete itself. It uses yarn to make it, but I used npm. npm calls yarn to make it, so I'm guessing that yarn lock is going to go away and be replaced with a package lock shortly. Let's find out together. Get that yarn lock out of there. Alright, so authentication sorta, I mean obviously it doesn't require routing, but we're going to do the router too, because that's a big part of making React apps, and you should be comfortable with that too. We're going to use context. It might be a contrived use of context. This is such a simple app that there's probably a decent argument to be made for just props drilling everything, but I'm not going to do that because context is good and y'all need the practice. Alright, there is still a yarn lock here. So we're going to swap over to npm. That's no big deal. We're going to get React router DOM and Axios. Axios takes a long time with npm. It's one of the reasons I was tempted to go over to yarn, but npm is still king if you ask me. I see I wasn't sharing my whole screen. For that I apologize. I created a React app, so you didn't miss much. Let me fix up this cropping real quick. Something like that. And another one of these. There we have it. Oh, it's still not everything. Alright. Cool. There's probably a good keyboard shortcut to snap that to the size of the OBS window, but I don't know it. So, here we go. We're getting dependencies. Let's start talking about what we're going to do. For starters, we're going to have a router. I'm going to put it in our app rather than our index. I think mostly they do that in Lambda to teach you that index is still rendering stuff normally. But for testing, you're never going to want to do that unless, because your test renders your app. And then if you have links and stuff and you only rendered your app and not the router around it, it's going to give you errors for your links not being inside a router, right? Because it's sitting here getting rendered in your index. So we can probably get started on that actually, because it's not like there's any surprises there. We're going to get route and router browser router as router from React router DOM. We're going to get rid of this garbage boilerplate. We're going to wrap everything in a nice router. I'm having PC lag here, probably because I'm trying to code while I'm installing packages. That's maybe unwise. Well, it happened. We're also going to use context, so let's set up our context since we got a couple minutes. got a new context folder. We're going to make a quote context.js. We're going to import the create context method from React, and we're going to export I don't know why this is mad at me. It's figuring it out. All right, so we created a new context. It's called quote context. It's exported from here. What are you upset about? I think my linter must be lagging because that looks fine to me. We'll see. Yeah, that looks a-okay. All right, this is a good lesson that I'm learning and we're all learning together. Oh my God. Oh boy. Well, let's do it one at a time. I think I screwed things up by working while I was installing. Quote context is happy now at least. See if React Router DOM got installed, and then we'll do Axios. So I guess I'll just have to talk while the installs happen. And I suppose that's fine. You all know I like to talk. So the app MVP is going to be, we have a login form, probably a register form, and we're going to have a protected route, which is going to be the list of quotes. So that's fine. I am going to tell you right now, I'm just going to copy paste protected routes from other projects because the syntax doesn't change. You should know how they work, but you don't have to be able to write them from scratch. They're always the same. I'm probably also going to pull Axios auth from other projects. So you maybe go get those right now. While Axios is installing, we won't even mess with that project. So let's go into a different project that uses them. I don't think this one uses private routes. So, whoops. The private route syntax, I don't have it totally down, but it's not super involved. What? What? I really blew it here with Axios. If this doesn't work, I'm going to uninstall it and reinstall it. So, for now though, let's grab the private route code. Alright, we're going to reinstall Axios too. This is a good debugging lesson for all parties concerned. I'm going to get a sparkling water. Okay, wow. Cannot read property match of undefined. What a disaster this is. Well, you know how I debug this is I would Google okay, maybe I should just throw out the lock file. I think I corrupted my lock file. Alright, so get rid of that. Do I have Axios in my package JSON? Holy Lord. It's not a big deal that I deleted the lock file in the wrong project, but I should probably just keep it around. Alright, we'll keep it in that project. We'll delete our package lock out of here. Do we have Axios? We do not. Alright, Let's see if we still get the same problem. You see, errors are very humanizing, and I'm hoping this is a hashtag relatable moment. So we learned that we shouldn't work on stuff while packages are installing. I think that has to be the thing I did wrong. Hey, great, we have Axios now. We should see it. Oh, maybe it was already in our dependencies. Let's make sure we have everything else. Should just fully update the package lock, unless it already is. And then we can get down to business. We have our context created. We can import it in here. I'm scared to touch anything at this point. Ah! What? Everyone is so mad. Seemed to really babble in the beta packages. Well, what's our next shot? A speed run is not very speedy, but it might be more valuable this way. I should have shown y'all how to delete that from the command line. I should have done it from the command line. So by getting busy during the installs, I seem to have corrupted my node modules. Get them out of here. This probably would have gone faster from the command line. I know some people out there think I'm like good at this stuff. I hope this is a great reminder that like no one's good at this stuff. Let's see if I can do this from here. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Deletes their node modules. Deletes their package lock. Then it works. And it's fine. npm rm yarn.lock. I'm not a yarn user. Now we'll install our packages and hopefully we'll have a CRA. If we get that match error, I'm going to stop the recording. But if we don't, I'll leave this in. It'll be really embarrassing. But that's just fine with me. I'm immune to embarrassment. I don't get embarrassed like normal people. That's my superpower. You can train it yourself. These look like normal messages. I don't know what left pad is, but NPM has a problem with it. We're getting somewhere. Alright, well, we're probably 10 minutes into the video now, which is not much of a speed run, but hopefully there were some hashtag relatable moments in here that will aid you all. big shout out to PT11 Team Mike. Y'all are boss. Y'all are boss AF, I gotta say. Alright, so here's package.json. Don't mess with these. Everyone who messes with these in their React apps ends up in trouble. Wow, React comes with a testing library already. Why would anyone test React? Oh my god, I'm on record saying that. Don't tell Lambda. Alright, so this is my Twitter. I'm gonna check it while we wait. This is a little tip. When you're busy, you can check your Twitter. Oh my god, man. I got Kenneth Bosack. '70 likes, wow. Getting somewhere here. I don't have any idea why everyone's so excited about this. But it's cool, I guess. Ah, lordy. Alright. Hey, we got our install to work. Okay, now we're off to the races and we can start writing React. Alright. Cool. So basically, our app's going to be a bunch of routes. Your app.js is often just going to be a bunch of routes. But before we get there, I should get the context imported. Is it quotes context? No, it's quote context. I think that's fine. Cool. Got our quote context, and we're going to wrap everything in it. It doesn't really matter if we wrap the router or not. Oh, I shouldn't self-close it. There we go. Zoop. Very nice. And we're going to stick something in there. So I guess we'll need use state and probably use effect. I guess we won't need use effect because we won't be going straight to the list. We're going to have other pages. So let's set up our state. It's going to be an array of quotes. I know this because I built it, but you would have to do some testing with Postman or something to figure out what you're actually getting back from the API. We have quotes, quote context, use state, brackets, and I don't really think we need this div, but I guess we'll keep it. Route path equals quotes, and we will, I think we can do this all with component. I don't think we need render props. We'll see. Component equals quotes list. Cool. Then we will need our other routes. Let's have one for login, one for register, and this will be let's try to make a generic auth form that handles them both. That sounds fun. I don't even think we need props again. Let's keep it. We'll render an auth form with the role equals login. Cool. And this one we will just do the same, but our role is going to be register. Very cool. So this is going to let us dynamically assign functionality. It looks like we aren't using the props. So let's set those to a nice underscore. Cool. All right, and in the interest of, I guess we'll make a nav component. This is going to appear at the top of everything. And let's real quick whip that out. It's going to be we're going to need stuff from React CRUD or DOM. Cool. And then we can return a link. Let's put this in a div. It's going to be a div class named main nav. Bring our slash div down here. We have one link to login. Great. That's innovative. We'll have a link to sign up. Yeah. Alright, and then we'll have a link to quotes list. Dope. Alright. So first things first, we're going to get the authentication knocked out, which means we're going to need the auth form.js. And remember, we are passing in a prop here named role, which is going to help us add dynamic functionality to our auth form. So first things first, we'll get React from React. We'll get, we're going to need use state. Cool. We'll export default function auth form. And it has a prop that we're going to use called role. Alright. And then we will say login, set login. We'll call it that, I guess. Make it more generic. Use state. And it's just going to be an object with a username and a password. Cool. And we're going to have to return stuff. Eventually we have to write on change and on submit. Let's write handle change right away. This will set the auth info to the old auth, it's lowercase a, auth info, and in here we'll do e.target.name, keyed to e.target.value. Awesome. I'm not sure why this is complaining. Oh, there's no parenthesis. Great. All right, so we now have handled that change. Once we set up our inputs, I will think more about what we need to do. Form. Now we have a form on submit will equal handle submit. And then here we got some inputs. What's this mad about? Yes, you do. Oh, maybe it's just the incomplete tag in the middle. Input name is username. Value is going to be keyed to our state object, which is authinfo.username. On change is handle change. Spectacular. Our next input will be very similar, but instead of username, it will be password. Fantastic. That's Control D to select two of the same things. It's very useful when you're copying and pasting new stuff. So we have our form. Our form needs a handle submit still, but that's a-okay. let's see, up here, let's add an H1, and it's going to say, please, and then we're going to use role. It'll say please log in or please register. Fantastic. Let's wrap this all in a div, and we will call it, let's give that a name, auth page. Great. Now we just need our handle submit. And we have this event in here, but we're not going to really do too much with that event. All we're going to do is prevent its default behavior, or our React app will refresh, and that's not good. Obviously, we're going to need Axios in order to make a post request with this information. Great. And in here, we're going to do axios.post to some URL. We're going to post the auth info information. Then we're going to need to save the token in here. And .catch, I'm going to need to print our error. Cool. All right, let's go get that URL from Slack. All right, so this is our base URL. Great. We're going to do an interpolated string because we're going to want this URL to be dynamic based on the role. And that's going to be /auth/role. Great. Then with the response, which should respond with a token, we're going to local storage.set item token. Great. To response.data.token. We'll see. Actually, let's wait on this. This is bad practice, and I should not teach you all to assume this. Let's console.log our response first. Great. This looks pretty good. We have links for all this. We need to import navigation. We need to import auth form. Great. Cool, cool. And for now, we'll just comment out the quotes list, and we'll make sure that this is working. I probably should have tested this earlier. Let's find out if I regret not doing so. Here we go. Ideally, there should be 2 links rendered and 2 components that switch rendering in depending on which link I choose. Let's see if I did it right. Hey, we didn't have any breaking errors. This should delete everything just because there's no match, right? Oh, I guess it's still going to show the nav because the nav isn't conditionally rendered on route. But this, we get a login. Something's wrong with sign up. Interesting. All right, let's see if we can hunt down what's going on there. So login's good. It says please log in. Oh, it's probably the navigation probably goes to /signup. Whoops. There we go. So these were both blank routes that those were going to. There we go. So now we have them both. Let's throw a button on our form for the sake of semantics. Type equals submit. Submit. Great. And yeah, that's fine for now. And also we should make our password type equals password, because otherwise we're going to see our password in plain text. I guess something's wrong with our handle change. That's really too bad. We'll have to figure that one out too, because the value is obviously screwed up. Set auth info to, we'll track that down in a sec. So we have our submit button, we have our value. Let's figure out what's wrong with my handle change. It's called handle change. That's spelled right. Oh, these say on charge. There it is. It's the little things. There we go. And you see our password is masked from prying eyes. Let's go ahead and take a look at that response JSON. The server will have to wake up, so this will take a sec. That'd be Big Ben. Our password is going to be crap. It's not a very good password. So the server should wake up and give us a response shortly. Internal server error, request failed, code 500. Huh. We have a username and a password. Let's take a look at our object here. What? Oh, I bet Big Ben exists already. That's classic Mike right there. Alright. I bet Big Ben 1 exists already. There we go, see? So there should be some kind of handling here. If we get, there should be a specific message back and the user should find out that the user already exists. My bad. So we can log in with Big Ben because we already made him. And maybe not. That looks like that's maybe not the right password. There we go. His password is 123456. So we can see the response, .data, .token is our token. We can see the whole token. Oh, we can't. It's so long. All right. So we will set the token in local storage with response.data.token. Let's make sure that happens. Big Ben, highly entropic password. Oh, I did not console logging the response anymore. So let's check our local storage. And we do, in fact, have a token here. That's crazy that they have the, I guess it's the same header because they're the same sort of token. Yeah, they are different tokens, but they have a lot in common because I made them both and they're both from essentially the same code. All right, so we also do want to do one thing here, which is a good reason to use render props. I rendered this, so I think we're probably fine to do this. We can do history.push to /quotes from here. Let's see if it redirects us. Do we not have history? Yeah. Okay. So we need to pass in props. We're on auth form. All right. What? What? All right. So we pass in those props. We might be set to go. Oopsie. I got ahead of myself. Great. So we redirected to quotes. So our auth is essentially done. Let's set up a private route and let's make a quotes list. Let's see, I am just going to grab private route. It's going to be the same as what you learned in class. My private route is no better. There's probably great reasons to write a better private route, but we're not gonna. It's going to be called utils. We're going to make a file, private route.js. It's going to be this, and you can see it takes a component as an argument. And if everything's good, it'll render that component for us. If it's not, it's going to redirect us to the home page. I'm going to have it redirect us to login if we're not logged in. Great. That's fine. We're going to also need Axios auth. And that's also not going to be any different from yours. It just sticks an Axios header with the authentication onto the Axios instance. So we'll need to use this when we actually access quotes. We won't need to use it for login because login's not protected. Anyone needs to be able to log in. So we will import a private route from utils, private route, awesome. And quotes list is not defined. I'll accept that. That's cool. Let's make a quotes list. Quotes list is going to be, and we will actually need a use effect in here because we want it to grab the stuff right when we load. We're going to import. Is this a default export? All right. Utils Axios with auth. Great. I've kind of gotten into favor of not using arrow functions for these, so I can write the export default right at the top. I think it's better. And in here we will do an Axios. We gotta use effect first. And here it's going to be Axios with auth, parentheses to return the Axios. Dot get. And I forget the URL. We don't have a set quotes method because we haven't pulled in the context, but that's fine. You need to catch on every Axios call or your app will crash when you get the errors, and that means the server problems can crash your app, which is not good. Cool. So let's also get our context. We are going to get our quote set quotes equals use context. Oh yeah, we don't have the context either. That's a named import. Cool. All right. We have a named import from quote context, and I don't think we actually passed that into our provider, which is my mistake. Cool. Now we have it. Now we should be pulling it out. And then we can call it here and set the data. We are almost to seeing some protected quotes. Great. And then in here, we just got a map. Oopsie. All right, we're gonna have a div. Within that div, we're going to have an h3, which is item.speaker. What are you upset about? Oh, it's that. I feel silly. And we'll also have the item.quote. Cool. If I didn't know the quote API, I could just console log it there. Our div is going to have a key, which is going to be item.id. This is very common. You'll almost always have an ID prop that you're pulling from. All right, so instead of making an extra component, we have our quote card written here in the map. That's maybe not ideal, but it's how it is. So now we have a quotes list. It looks to me like it should be close to working. Let's import it and give it a shot. Oh boy, It looks like I miswrote my Axios call. I've noticed I've been doing that today. My callbacks haven't been complete. Yeah. Whoopsie. There we go. Let's take a look at it. Let's log in. Huh, it did not seem to redirect us. Something must be wrong. Oh, maybe our private route is probably looking for a JWT. Oh, it's get item user. Yeah. That's an artifact. So we got redirected, but then the quotes list itself redirected us. All right, something's up with our local storage. Let's figure it out together. Should get the same problem. Yeah. Context consumer component in route in private route. We're getting a token. Oh, I think maybe because it's not JSON in this case. I still have the token. I actually don't have to log in right now. All right, cool. So now we got an unauthorized error. That's something. That's something. We are using Axios with auth. Oh yeah, we're not getting the right token. So this is the problem with copy pasting from other projects. So now it works. I was getting the JWT, which is from a different app I built. So this is now the token that we've gotten. So be aware of that. It's a pitfall. We have our list of quotes. Let's make a logout button. Logout buttons will go a long way. If you have a dynamic logout button, people are going to be quite impressed. Doesn't actually have to be a link. People are gonna, the React is gonna be upset about this, but that's how it is. We're just gonna local storage, remove item, and that item is going to be the token. And we're also going to need to set a big piece of context up. Because we want everything to update once we get this done. So, oh, I am in the wrong place doing this. So this should be a use state true. And this should be a square bracket. And these should be an app.js. So that's many mistakes all at once. Please don't hold it against me. Cool. And then we'll pass those into our context as well. Cool. All right. Very nice. Now I need to get that out because it's bad. Oh, we don't need that here. So this is gonna depend on the token. It doesn't really need to like re-render anything if we're not logged in. We are gonna use that here. It's quote context. That's my mistake. Very nice. And we will const logged in, set logged in is use context quote context. And just for the sake of making this confusing or educational or something, I'm not going to import use context. I'm just going to call it from React. We are going to remove the token. We're going to set logged in to false. I got a lowercase f. I've been writing too much Python. And we also need to make sure that when we log in using the auth form, all right, in this then, we are going to have to also set logged in to true, because this is a successful authorization. We want the user to be considered logged in. So we'll also have to import our quote context. Cool. I don't know how it knew the autofill that context, but it worked for me. Const. We actually don't really need to use logged in here, but we could. Nah, let's just, in the interest of brevity and fewer React warnings. Cool. All right, so we're going to set logged in to true if people log in. Oh, and this is a named export. Great. Let's get some of these warnings out of here. We're never going to use the React logo. We're not using use state in quotes list, really? Oh yeah, because we're using it off of context. And we aren't using logged in navigation, but we will. So let's get that set up. So here in our JSX, we can write like logged in, meaning if logged in is true, then we want our logout link, right? Great. And if it's not true, we want our login and register link. Cool. There you go. So that should be dynamic now. And because we are logged in, boom, we're all set. I'm kind of surprised it knows we're logged in. What set that to true? Oh, maybe we logged in after we wrote the logic? Oh, logged in and instantiates to true. There we go. All right. So this should actually instantiate to if you have a token, then it's true. Otherwise, you're not logged in. What did I do? One too many parentheses. Cool. So I have a token, so I'm logged in. We have a logout function written here in our navigation form that will remove the token and set it to false. So, ooh, watch this. If I log out, whammo. Whammo. I can't stay on quotes. It redirects me. And it's all good. So let's log back in. Boom. Oh, wow. It re-renders. It takes us to quotes. We're all good. All right. So that is the authentication portion of our app over and done with. I'm going to grab 5 minutes real quick, and I will be back, and we'll do the rest of the CRUD. Probably more like 2 minutes. All right, I'm boiling water right now for coffee, so I have a little time to get some stuff done. I know that this is ugly. I know you all know CSS, so I'm not going to worry about that. If you want to figure out how you're going to style your nav bar and make it nice, go ahead. All right, that's not my business. And yeah, I think that having log out and log in and stuff at the far right rather than the quotes list, you know what, we'll do that real quick. All right, cool. Probably will want these to be divs because you'll want them to be together, but whatever. I'm not worried about styling today. We are doing functionality. So here in the quotes list, we can add a add quote form. We're going to make it just down here at the bottom for the sake of simplicity, but I will make it its own component. Cool. We're going to use useState because we have a form where we need to set some information. And we're also going to need Axios. We're going to need Axios with auth because we need permission to access the endpoint. The function is add quote form, and it's going to have to use our context because we're going to need to update things locally too. I'm going to actually refrain from using this because I want to show you a common pitfall that people fall into with regards to writing CRUD apps. So I'm going to import this use context, but we're not going to use it yet. And it is a name export, and it's from /context/ quote context, and Axios with auth is from utils / Axios with auth. Great. Okay. So our add quote form is going to have a state, and the state is going to be a new quote, and the quote is going to have a quote and a speaker. Cool. Great. We are going to have to make a form that updates that state. We're going to have an input. That input is going to have a name of quote. It's going to have a value of, I didn't even instantiate the use state. This is trickier to talk while you're coding than you might think, because, I don't know, I speak at a different speed than I think, and I get insecure. Not that I actually feel embarrassment or anything, but you know how it goes. You know how it goes. We'll call it new quote and set new quote here in our state. And it's going to be use state with a quote and a speaker. Great. This is all confused just because of that. It's going to be new. That's not how we're going to do it. It's a variable, so it's new quote dot quote. Handle change is going to be handle change, but we've not written that yet. Great. And then we're going to do the same thing. And ooh-wee, watch this. Control D. Oh my god, it's not case sensitive. It didn't work this time. So we're going to have to do it one at a time. Whoopsie! Alright, so we have a new add quote form. It does this. It's all good. Let's write our handle change. And the new change is going to change the value of our new quote. It's going to change it to an object that's the same as the last new quote object, except that e.target.name, which is either quote or speaker, depending on which field we're in, is going to be keyed to the value that we just typed in there. Very cool. All right, so our handle change is done. We need a handle submit. First things first, we e.prevent default. Cool. Second things second, we will Axios with auth.post to, I keep forgetting the URL, quotes db mic, whatever. It's going to be posted to /quotes. We're going to post our new quote. Now, here's where things are going to get sticky. This console log our res. So we are all set up to show you what I want to demonstrate real quick. You are going to have this happen on your sprints, on your build weeks, on your everything. I see it. It's super common. I dealt with this problem. It's all good. Let's put a button on just for the sake of clarity. All right, very nice. So we've not re-rendered anything. Let's just stick our add quote form at the bottom of the quotes list. Oh, it's in the same folder. We're in components already. Cool. What have I done? Handle change is not defined. Handle submit is not defined. I could have sworn I defined them. Handle change, handle change. Oh. Oh. I don't think this will clear the error, but that is a mistake. Oh. See, this is the problem with swapping up languages. I've been writing Python too much. Quote context is defined but never used. Here's a clue for what we're going to need to do. So let's throw the add quote form down here at the bottom. Cool. We have our React app. We have all our quotes. We're logged in. And we have our add quote form slammed down here at the bottom. It ain't pretty. In fact, let's put some placeholders because I don't even remember which one's the quote and which one's the speaker. Let's at least add some placeholders. All right. Cool. We got them down here. The quote is, "I'm having a great day, and I hope you are too." By Mike. We submit. It clears, and it updated? Boy, I am puzzled by everything here. I did not intend for this to update this list at all. Now, I have no idea what this error is either. Oh, we don't have use effector on our quote grab, so it just grabbed it again. Oh, we do have a use. Oh, we don't have a dependency array. Okay. So did we post? We did. So I don't know what the 500 error is for. We'll have to figure that out. Console.log res. I'm not doing anything else with the response, am I? Add quote, access with auth post to quotes, new quote, console.log error. Okay, well, see if I can demonstrate this to you. Hui. So we get the error, but if we refresh, we'll see it. We'll have to hunt down this error. I am at a loss. See if my Heroku logs give me a tip. This is an advantage to running the server. This is part of why you run your servers locally. Is I can look at why that's complaining, because it's adding to the database. Did I screw up the IDs maybe? Post 500. Status 500. But if we refresh, it should be there. Hui Mikey. Huh. That is a Hui. Let's take a look at the code for the quotes real quick. Figure out what's throwing that 500. It's this old homework. Let's look at quotes. What's gonna throw that 500? We're on post. Oh, it might have something to do with the logic on this return. It's doing quotes.insert, which is obviously working. But then something goes wrong. What happens on insert? Oh, it's DB on DB. Yeah, that'll happen. Maybe that'll help. We'll try that. Alright, so that's fine though. That's neither here nor there. Obviously our thing works. We do need to update our local state because we're not going to be hammering the API like that. And with no dependency array. That's a bad way of doing things. It's a good way to get locked out of an API. So you could see here when I added this quote, I needed to refresh to actually see it because we have a dependency array because we're being modest about our API usage. So we can use quotes and set quotes from our context like usual. Ooh, I'm going to keep doing it this way just for funsies. Cool. We have quotes and set quotes, and we're going to have to build the new state here. Oh my god. Oh, the server's down. It's restarting. There we go. So here in the response, we're going to have to set quotes. Let's give this a shot and see what we get in response now. Alright, so now we actually get back our data in an array, which is not ideal, but that's workable. So we'll set quotes to, so it's a good thing we console logged our response, because now we can see it's an array of 1 that it passes back. How strange. That's poor design, but I guess I have to work with it. So we're going to set quotes to the old quotes array spread in with res.data index 0 to get around the array there. That's great. We will add it there. It will have been added to the database, and we should be set to go. All right, very cool. Let's do a delete. It's going to be easiest to add this in the quotes list. We have access with auth in here, so let's write a delete quote function. It's not going to take any arguments. Actually, it will take an ID. And that ID is going to be used in an Axios with auth.delete call. It's going to take this, and we're going to have to add on the ID to the end. Okay. Res set quotes to be quotes.filter item.id doesn't equal the ID we passed in. And we always need to catch. If I didn't catch that error that we were having before, the app just would have died, which is definitely less than ideal. So always write your catches. Always, always, always write your catches. Cool. So we now have a delete quote function. Let's add a button, and on click, it will call delete quote on item.id. Cool. So we now have create, read, update, and let's test our delete. It deleted. It deleted. I'm going to leave this one up though because it's a nice quote. Alright, now we just need update. We need to make an editable form. So let's see. So in our mapping, we're going to need to return something conditional. I think an easy way to do this is to have a piece of state, which is called editing and set editing, which will use state, and it's going to be a number. Yeah, use state's not defined. All right, so we have set editing. We're using state 0. That's great. We're going to, every time we click the edit button is going to go here next to delete, and if you click the edit button, it's going to change this into a form where we can make changes and then submit it. So let's make an edit button real quick. Set editing to item.id instead. We should maybe handle this elsewhere. Let's toggle edit here, and we'll write some logic up here for our toggle edit form. So 0 is falsy, so we can use that as kind of our base point. If editing. So if editing is, let's go if not editing. If editing is 0, we're going to set editing to ID, and I think that'll be all we have to do. Else, which means editing is not 0, we will do our put request, and we will set editing back to 0 once we're done. So what is that doing there? All right, we're going to need another piece of state, which is going to be just a quote. Yeah, we'll have to pass in the whole item here. Let's change that to quote because we have too many items on this page now. Holy God, what's happening? Oh, that's what I need to do. All right. So we have quote, quote, quote.id. And instead of passing in the item ID, we're going to pass in the item itself. So we're going to pass the quote into the toggle edit method if we do this. And by doing this, we will set the our edited object up here, which we should instantiate with a speaker and a quote. Great. And we're going to have to build out a little bit of a form in here. It probably would have been better to encapsulate this in another component, but we're in too deep now. All right. So we are going to set editing to quote.id. Otherwise, we're going to set editing to 0. So if we're not editing, we're going to instantiate the edited quote to that. And we're going to set editing to quote.id. And here we still need an Axios put request. Let's leave that there as a placeholder. All right. So before that, I want to show you all how we're going to do the logic for our editing. So we're going to do some conditionals in here. We're going to do ternary conditional. If editing is this index that keeps track of which one is editing. If editing equals item.id, then we're going to want to return this whole div. Else, we're going to return an h1. And this is pretty happy. I guess it's not very happy. What am I not thinking about here? Editing equals item.id. Comma expected. Oh, should I do this elsewhere? Maybe I could do it in here and make things easier. All right, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. So we're going to say, all right, if editing is equal to this item's ID, like if we chose this one to edit, then we want to see inputs, right? Otherwise, if it's not the one we're editing, we want to see the speaker and the quote. And these are going to have to be in a code snippet because we can only return one thing. Or a fragment, that is, not a code snippet. Okay, let's see if that works. We should see this change to a header that says editing this. Great. All right. So now this needs to be a form instead of a header. Let's do that. We definitely are always going to want to self-close our inputs. We're going to have 2 inputs, and each one is going to have a name. This one is named quote. I guess it's speaker on top. So we'll name this one speaker. The value will be, is it edit quote that I called it? Edited. That's a very bad name. All right, and the on change will be handle change, which will look very familiar to all of us by now. Got speaker and quote. We misspelled handle change for the 3rd time today. Outstanding. What did I do wrong? Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not close this code fragment. Great. Handle change not defined. That's not a surprise. We didn't write it. So we have our delete quote. We have our set editing. Let's real quick throw down a vanilla handle change. Set edited to e.target name, e.target.value. Cool. And that is not there. And that is actually going to need to be wrapped up. And again, I'm writing this like it's Python. I forgot to declare my variable. Cool. Let's see. We should get an input now with this stuff pre-populated. It is. Great. I think if I do this, nothing will happen, right? Like it'll just go back to where it was. Yeah. All right. So right now we're not doing anything with the server. All we got to do is our put and reset our quote state in here. And we are all set. So let's get that set. We are going to Axios with auth.put to, let's do it with this because we'll need to interpolate our ID. We're going to say, oh, we want to hit that endpoint with the ID at the end. We're going to pass in the edited quote. Then, I'm not sure what it'll respond with. This is probably also broken from the Postgres migration, which is my bad for not testing. Great. And we'll just do this for now. All right, this is not going to work. Probably I'll need to redeploy the backend again, but that's not a huge deal. So we have this now. We can make our edits. You know, this wasn't Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It was actually Mikey Harms, baby. And now we should get an error here. It probably still will update the database, but it's not going to pass back the information we want, is my guess. Let's try. 404. That's fresh. Oh, there is no slash here. That is my mistake. Let's make this one Mikey Harms again. We got 200. We did not change our state at all, though. We just console logged the response, so we won't see the changes until we've refreshed. It also got updated down here, which is interesting. I'm not sure if it shouldn't have gotten a different ID. So we can settle this also by sorting this by ID. We'll do that in a sec. Okay, so let's just figure out how to make this appear immediately in our state. We will do set quotes. Oh, what came back in our response? I didn't think to look. Data is just an object. Very nice. So we're going to need to do quotes and res.data, which is great. And then we have to make sure we get the old one out of there, which means we can just use this same logic we wrote in our delete function. I feel like this isn't going to work. This is either going to do both or none at all. Let's find out. Because async logic is annoying. IDE. These are all, Mikey Harms has taken over this list. Stephen Harms, my cousin. So now we have them both. Our delete did not work. Could maybe do another dot then. How best to deal with this? All right, I'm gonna real quick make some coffee. We could actually just delete it. We could just delete it from state right away when we select it. That won't work because we still want the quote to be a part of the mapping. No. Let's think. Stateful logic on foot. Oh. Maybe I could do that. Maybe we can just do it all at once. See if that works. Let's get rid of the periods. Hey, it worked. Great. So now we just need to do ordering. Okay, so that took me a second to think about it, but it's actually not too tough. I just did the filter in the set method and that instead of trying to do it in 2 steps. That was very stupid of me. Now finally we just need to make sure everything stays in the persistent order, which is just going to be a matter of doing a sort here. Sort takes 2 arguments, A and B. It refers to 2 items in the array. It's a callback, and we just want to get the ones that are, I think it would be b.id minus a.id, something like that, to set them in order. So now they should be, oh, this is reverse order. There we go. This was a French guy. Great, we can see it changed. And this was a cool dude. All right. Beyond that, you see there's a little bit of delay on that update. I think that's just a matter of put this into the .then, because right now it's happening asynchronously. Set the quotes. All right, that might be a little bit better UI. This was Napoleon, actually. There we go. All right, so we have our full CRUD app done. We can add stuff with this ugly form at the bottom. We can edit stuff with this edit button. We should make that say something else on edit. So let's see. If it's editing, it will say submit. Otherwise, it will say edit quote. Great. So now we'll see the button text change to submit. All right. So we are 100% done. We've done full CRUD, full authentication. Style this someday if you want, but what's much more important is that you understand the CRUD side of things. This was Steve Wozniak. All right. Well, that was pretty humbling. I mean, coding in front of people is just kind of tricky. Talking through things along with it is kind of tricky. But that is a full CRUD app, and I hope it was somewhat enlightening to watch me. At least it was humanizing, right? People think I'm good at this stuff. No one's that good at this stuff. So there you go. Enjoy. I hope this was somewhat useful. Peace.